you are dead. You've been dead for a very long time. More serious than you can possibly imagine. And no dead person will ever see life, will ever hear life, will never speak of life. You will never make contract with each other, and you shall make no contract or a covenant with your God.
So what do I mean by the secret spells of the English language? Well, let me share with you what I call our premier life sentence. And it goes something like this. We awake each morning and go off during the weekdays to earn the living at various jobs and undertakings until we come to the weekend. And this seems perfectly acceptable to most people. However, more people die between 6 and 9 on a Monday morning than any other time of the week. So I do what I call a translation of the English language, and I spell that T-R-A-N-C-E with the idea that words cast spells. So when you translate that life sentence, you remember that awake is a funeral party for the dead. Mourning is the state you're in when you attend a wake. And you would have to be in a weekdays to earn the living, since urns are for the ashes of the dead. We call our jobs undertakings. Job itself is a Hebrew word for persecuted. And what we get at the end of this perverse bargain with life is the weak end of the deal as we become progressively weakened ourselves. And so our most prevalent greeting to each other is hello, the reverse of which is, oh, hell. And at first, I suspected the hands of collusion entangling the language to foster illusion. And I think it's quite true that a culture's theology has a great deal to do with a word's etymology and how it evolves over time to combine incompatible meanings that may undermine the original thoughts it was meant to define. But now, I don't think it's planned, for the thing that I've found is that like concepts can gravitate toward the same sound and vibrate at the rate that our thoughts designate. Because words are electromagnetic vibrations whose fine alphabetic tintinnabulations can take on the tint of our true expectations, which they then imprint on our metal of mind, causing sounds to adhere when they're of the same kind.
Children, as designated by our language, aren't even ours. Parents are a pair who rents. Our governments, especially our courts, don't treat a parent's right to control and direct the upbringing of their child as a fundamental liberty. We're forced from a young age through many types of indoctrination, and our parents are helping in this process. Look at the word childhood. A hood is used to cloak and hide. The etymology of children is chill and dren. Chill means cold. Dren is a name meaning a strong and healthy individual. So children are strong individuals who must be chilled, made cold. Stay with me, this will all come together. In Ballantyne's 1948 Law Dictionary, the term human being says sea monster. When we see monster, we get the definition, a human being by birth, but in some part resembling a lower animal. In the Oxford New English Dictionary of 1901, a human is defined as belonging or relative to man, as distinguished from God or superhuman beings. So these definitions are telling us we're monsters. The word live backwards is evil. Our language is telling us we're born as monsters who are bleak and lifeless to a pair who rents us out to the government and other corporations that indoctrinate us. Our childhood is spent under a cloak and we're evil when we live. Our sentences are made up of words. The word sisters in Greek mythology were fates or witches who controlled the fates of man. Every word we say directly affects our reality and ultimately our fate. The Egyptian deity Thoth is said to have invented language and writing. The original purpose was to use words for magic. The words write and write are pronounced the same. A rite is a ceremony or ritual. Whenever we're writing with words or speak, we're initiating a ritual. Books contain chapters. A chapter often refers to a sect of a secret society or religious order. To page someone is to summon them. Pages in books made of words are summoning things to enslave or imprison our souls. The word grammar comes from the French word grammaire or grimoire. Grimoires were ancient magic books which contained instructions to summon demons. We wake up each morning. A wake is a funeral party held for the dead. At the beginning of each day, we say to each other, "Good morning." Mourning is what you do when you're sad for the loss of someone or something, by calling it a good morning. It's pretty masochistic if you ask me. We then go to work at our occupation. When we occupy something, it can mean being occupied by a military force, like in war. Many occupations are focused on money and the dog-eat-dog mentality. The dollar bill comes first before the environment or even each other. Therefore, we are committing war against each other during each day we work our occupation. We are the military occupiers. An urn is for the ashes of the dead. For the average 9-to-5 worker, it would have to be one of the weekdays in order to earn a living. I agree, you would have to be in a weekdays to earn a living. During the week, we become weaker and weaker until finally it's the weekend, and we have become weakened. Somebody or something who is weakened has no power. And during the weekend, many of us turn to drink alcohol. Alcohol comes from the Arabic word al-kul, which is a body-eating spirit. It's also the source of the word ghoul. We drink booze or booze. Booze are synonymous with spirits who scare you, but what can you expect when you're drinking spirits? Alcohol has always been a medium for entities to flow through, and the effects in part demonstrate.
The images that you saw on the life of a cell, those images were seen by people over 100 years ago who created optical microscopes that were able to penetrate the cell membrane and move into that world, that universe that you see. But for some reason, none of you have access to an optical microscope that can see the cell membrane or a cell or the organelles inside a cell, or how they function. There is a reason for that. Because under international maritime law, all of you are dead. You are dead. You've been dead for a very long time. More serious than you can possibly imagine. And no dead person will ever see life, will ever hear life, will never speak of life. You will never make contract with each other, and you shall make no contract or a covenant with your God. And that's the world that you live in. How that is done is with the use of language, and I'm going to cover that in more detail. As we speak, we're just going through life babbling with each other. That language is known as babble. Since we speak a language of babble, what's interpreting the things that we're saying is our subconscious ability to make those interpretations. And this is how they get you switched off or stand down, and that's what you essentially are. You're walking around where your subconscious is stood down. You don't have access to it. You don't have access to it because the words that you are using locks you out of your subconscious mind. And as I go through what maritime law is, what federal law is, you'll start to see a glimpse of how this is done, the language that you use. And I'll bring all those subjects in together, and I'll do my best to explain it, how they're using that to enforce that you shall not make no contract with your God or covenant. You shall make no contracts with you each yourself. You cannot hear or see life. And yet a royal microscope, Royal Rife microscope, is available. You can get one.